So just waiting for words that all is okay on YouTube, that I'm live. I'm so excited to do this one. So just checking in. I think it's going, yep, great. It's working both. So I'll just turn my phone off. And great. So nice to connect with you all. And thank you for being part of this webinar. I've been really excited to share what has been coming in and how it's what I've learned or what I've discovered over the years as I was holding space for others, and what I had experienced through holding space for others. So I'm going to start off at the very beginning. I know when I first started, oh yes, just a little bit of grounded information for, I'm going to take questions and answers on the Telegram. So to make this so potent that you'll have all the teachings from me, the frequencies from me, the transmissions. And then on Telegram, if there's any questions you have between today and tomorrow, if you can leave them on Telegram as short as possible, and I'll try and get back to as many as I can, but I'll pick the highlights and I'll go through and I'll give them in a video form. I want to give the transmissions, not in email form, but I want to give it in transmissions form because you'll feel the frequencies. When I work or when I teach, I'm giving frequencies. And when you're in your being, you're going to receive those frequencies and you'll have the teachings and the information in your system consciously and energetically. The way I work is energetically. So I want to be really, every minute is so potent in these webinars, or when I do workshops, I want to really deliver the best for everybody and leave that space on Telegram for the questions and answers. And then I can sit with it and be with it and then feel hold space for those questions and then see what wants to come true, what wants to birth true. So welcome. We have such a beautiful group from all over the world, and these are all anchoring this information deeply, deeply into your own system and then sharing it for everybody. So I want to honor you all and thank you all for being part of this and this great awakening at this moment in time. And as we're in this new year, new energy of the new year, it's really about being, knowing thyself and being the creator who you really are and accessing all your gifts, your power, your potential in every moment. So it's for me, it's about creating new earth. And by accessing my whole being, then I can start manifesting heaven on earth. I can start really grounding it and also see results, actual tangible results in my life. And that's what I noticed from the beginning, it's so long now. It's about 34 years or something, like 33 years actually, since I started really holding space for other people. I know in the early days, I was so stressed. I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready. What happens if someone arrives? What do I do? Will I be able to support them? Will it be too complicated? Am I clear enough? Am I enough? Then information would drop in. I say, oh my God, what does that message mean? How will they take it? How will they feel? Or it's too direct, or I don't know the whole puzzle to that information, because information drops in when you're holding space. So I got a very strong message for someone in the very beginning. I remember a lady I was supporting, and it came through very strong. And I felt so bad then when I saw her. I said, I'm sorry for being so direct. And she said to me very strongly, she says, Damien, this is nothing to do with you. You're the messenger. Stay out of it. Don't mess with the information. She says, I heard it's so direct. I was doubting you up to that moment. And she says, when I heard that you delivering this message so directly, I knew that was my Father giving me that message. So we are messengers when we hold space. So some of you may want to hold, I don't know if you're supporting others, or you're creating a new business or a new project, or supporting space for a new life. It's all the one system. So I want to share with you in this webinar the different tools I've experienced through my own experience, almost like the do's and don'ts, and really how to access your potential and to get out of the way. It's really about getting out of the way. And it's interesting, there was a translator I was watching. It was actually at Peter Levine's workshop, and she was translating for a few days. And I asked her at the end, how do you translate for so long and you're getting more energy and more energy? And she says, well, Damien, I see myself like a channel in a channel, and the trick is not to touch the edges, just stay in the center. And she was getting more energized as she was doing that. And that is holding space. So what is holding space for me? I can give you my version. You'll have different versions maybe. So it's when someone asks me to hold space, I am becoming, it's like the magnets. I'm going to make it very simple. It's like the magnets, okay? So we need a negative and a positive pole. And if the two of us stay in the positive pole, we're not getting I'm not absorbing or getting the transmissions into my system if someone's holding space for me. If I'm staying positive and someone's holding space for me, I'm blocking them from supporting me to access my whole being. I'm blocking them and controlling the system. The universe works in spirals, and it is the positive and negative pole of Mother Earth in our system. But when you hold space for somebody, when you hold a space for that person, you're actually becoming the positive pole and they're becoming the negative pole. And then the energy flows through and the channel opens. So whatever's meant to come true for that person will come true. And they, even their higher self, if they're not getting the message, the higher self will communicate with you and bring it through you to them. When I'm in daily life, I'm not always holding space. I'm also connected to my topics, to the mind, to whatever wounds are open in my system. So, plus my channel. But when I go into a state of holding space, okay, I'm going to just let you feel it so you feel it. So I'm going to drop out of holding space for everybody now so you feel the difference. So I'm going to go into Damien in regular life and just drop out. So I'm coming out of the system and just feel the difference in the energy as it's dropping and it's dropping. And I can feel I'm coming back more into my personality level, because I need that to develop. Okay. So now I'm nearly completely out. It's still holding a bit, but I'm completely out nearly. So now, do you feel the difference? And now I'm coming in. So now I'm holding space for the group. So I'm going to open up that space for the group again. And my intention is to hold space for you. That is the job I've accepted to do in this webinar, is to hold space for you, for everyone in this webinar. No matter if you're coming in later or new people come in later, they're also in this space. That is my intention. So I feel the information, the field is getting stronger as I'm setting the intention to hold space for everybody. So I'm breathing into my heart. I invite you to breathe into your heart. And if you can really accept to go into your heart space. So it's almost like surrendering into your heart. So you're open to be supported to whatever wants to come true for you. When I go in this state, it's building up, and you're building up as well. So what it's doing is, I know you're feeling it, but it's turning on my system. So it's putting my entire cellular system, energetic bodies, into creation field. It's pure creation. So it's getting stronger. It's getting stronger as I accept to go more into myself and accept to hold space. Now, I could have my mind saying, what can I do? Or maybe there's something happening in my life. Now, when you're holding space, it doesn't mean your mind is silent. Okay. It's okay if your mind is still active. But the main thing to do is to say, okay, I accept my mind is active. Okay. And by that, you're opening up the channel and the mind is over here. Okay. So you may have questions, the mind being active, and you're simply accepting it. And as you accept it, anything that's a program will start creating space. It will start leaving your system. There'll be space there. It's not saying it won't be still active, but you're aware of it. Now, as I'm aware of any programming in my system that's active, like some part of me saying, okay, what am I going to teach them? What am I going to do? And that part is there a little bit. So I'm accepting that part. And I'm accepting any insecurities. It's always important to accept whatever insecurities are in your system. The insecurities is your strength. It's how you connect. Reading into your heart space. And we're turning on the system. We're turning on the creation field now by simply accepting. Now, it's important as well that I'm breathing with my body. If you want to do some yoga, just simple yoga on the spine or something to get into the body before you hold space for somebody. I like to sit up. And I used to have this a lot because I hadn't cleared the wounds that were in my system. And I used to get sort of sleepy when I held space for somebody. Now, that still was okay because my system, my soul, my being would take over at that point. It says, okay, well, Damien can't handle it at the moment. So the being of me would take over and support and allow creation to come through me. So we're connecting to creation, God creator above us, inside us. And what another big thing, which was very relieving for me, was that I was told by Spirit I was a little bit stressed or anxious before people would come for sessions. And I got the information saying, anyone who comes to you, you can handle it. Anyone who comes to you, they're coming because you have the information or the exact information in that moment for them, which is right for them. And you don't need to know the details. That's very refreshing. You don't need to know the details. Sometimes you may get words coming in. Sometimes you may get nothing coming through. Sometimes you may sense the other person in your body, the sensations of the other person in your body. It's not bringing you down. It's just giving you the information. Okay, so I'm just giving you transmission. So we are vibrational frequencies. We are creation. And we're made up of genetic. So we have our genetic ancestral line information, the DNA information, which is a living field of information with genetic memories in there as well. So these genetic memories do affect us, but when we hold space, they don't come into the system. It's like your creation field comes on, switches on. So just honoring the genetics. As we go more into holding space, more into the center of our being and turn on our being into the positive part, if you're holding space for somebody, what's happening is I'm getting out of my mind. It's almost like my mind will get empty. Now, there's still maybe some mind programs running, but my mind is getting more empty, more still, more space. And what's happening is I'm going into different fields of information. So I'm starting to access, not with my mind, with my being, my knowing, my channel. Now, my channel has many layers to it. So it can go through the genetics with the ancestral lines. It can even go into different genetics from past lives. It can go into different star lives. It can go into me as a creator. It can go into I am you, you are me, we are one. There's different levels. So if you're starting a session, if you ask somebody, what would you like support with? It's bringing, excuse me, the focus, the intention to a system. So if you put an intention, the word intention opens systems. There's certain keys, certain words which are keys for opening systems. I spoke more about systems in the first teaching seminar that I did on systems. So if you're at that, or if you weren't at that, maybe you want to look at that if you want to know more about systems. The key for opening gates or opening anything is intention. The word intention through the heart. This opens up fields of information. So for holding space, we have got our genetics. I'm going to speak briefly about the genetics and why it's important and how they work. I feel later I will need to go into much more detail on a later one about how genetics are. So we're an energetic field of information. And in this carnation, I need to honor I am the child of my biological parents. This is not about is mom and dad there, are they good or bad parents? In genetics, it's about energetic frequency. So when I work with genetics, it's working with the DNA. If I'm missing my mom or my dad in the system, then I'm out of balance. So there's something out of balance in my system. So it's very important to honor who you are. So it should be in the genetics are in a way that if you imagine you're standing in front of your biological mom as her child, about a meter and a half in front of her, and you're not her partner, you're her child, son, daughter, or you're an adult now, father, mother now. But imagine you're standing in front of your mom. So your mom's behind you on the left side. And then if you imagine you're standing in front of your biological dad, who's on the right side behind you. The reason this is so important is because when you do that, you honor your genetic place. From your genetic place, you connect to your channel. If you're out of your genetic place, you disconnect from your channel. You're not accessing your full potential. You've got a disturbance in your channel. You have a disturbance in your field. For the genetics, it's very important. For example, I spoke about this many times about if you're taking care of your mom, make sure to take care of her as she's still your mom. She can be like a child, but she's still your mom. Never take care of other children if as they're your biological, unless they are your biological children. You can take care of them like mom and dad, but if they're not your blood biological children, you leave that space for the biological parents, always for the biological parents. Siblings are always from the youngest on the left to the oldest on the right. The biological children are always in front of you. And that includes children from miscarriage, abortion, or from missing children, ancestral children. So it's always to honor. I call it the blueprint of the genetics. The blueprint is, I don't need to know the details. If I need to know, I will know. And I set the intention that to open up the genetics of my system, the genetics of my family system, so of my mother's and father's genetics, and then simply call in everything into order, the divine order. So I'll invite all the missing children, we can do it now, all the missing children in our ancestral lines to go to the correct biological places. And all the missing fathers, mothers to come into the system biologically. All the cuckoo parents, our children, can also come out of the system, and only biological. We're only working with biological when we work with genetics. As we work with genetics, your energetic field for holding space will get clearer, because if something is out of alignment back there, it's out of alignment in here. So if there's a missing child in the system, this is a priority. That's also why I work very much with the vanishing twin. If there's a vanishing twin in the system, this is a priority, because if you're in a twin place, your channel is not clear. You're blocking your own channel, or you're in your twin's channel instead of your own. So it's very important always, when you're supporting others, for me, is to always check the genetics first. So to ask the system, just simply set the intention to guide that person, are they in their biological places? So I want to go into a state of, just so you can feel, if you set the intention, it's working already, I can feel it. If you can set the intention that your entire genetic system, left and right, siblings, your children, ancestors, go into divine order, into the blueprint of their genetics, that you honor that you're your parents' child, because this way you can activate your DNA. And if your mom and dad have a missing twin, then we can honor those missing twins and honor that they are the aunts and uncles. And then the parents are the link for the ancestors, for the DNA. And this link is open now. And then the ancestors' information can flow through you, which then gives you more strength and power to enter your own channel. So everything I'm doing now is for making your channel stronger, for holding space. Okay, so now we have got access to our genetics. So mom and dad's system is supporting us. And when you're in that state of genetics, there's nothing to do. All you need to do is take a deep breath into your heart, into your cells, and release, and sit in it. Because now our genetic lines are open. So if you want to hold space, it's really useful, or so much easier, if you check in with your genetic lines before you work and feel it. You'll get a sense of space in your system, and very grounding. It grounds you because your ancestors are supporting you. You're in your correct family system in this life system. As I say, this is nothing to do, are you in a good family or not? This is only about your DNA, because you need to be in your DNA to access your channel clearly in this life system. So now the energetic lines are open. So I just want to set the intention again. If mom and dad have twins, if grandparents have twins, that they all are honored in their correct places as twins, older twins, younger twins, and the ancestors. And then mom is mom, dad is dad, grandma's grandma, grandpa's grandpa, all the way through the system. So you have direct line into the ancestral line, all the way back, both sides. And then this will go out to your children, because now you can be the father or the mother of your children. Or if you want to have children, this will open up the system. Beautiful. Now it's happened. Now the genetics is open. Taking a deep breath into your cells. See, now that the genetics is open, there was information in you that couldn't go back, couldn't resolve, because you were not in your energetic field. So now it can resolve. So simply give space. So if you're doing this with somebody, all you need to do now is hold space for them, because the system will do everything by itself. And it will start almost like bring you down to more space in the body, and your left and right, your spine gets support, your heart gets supported, the mind will get clearer. It's a feeling of space, and even breathing into the nervous system. Now you're in your channel. Now it's really, you're getting more access to yourself. So it's like you're getting more access now to your spirit. It's getting stronger, but it's coming down more. I'll just go a little bit more. So I'm going to say that again. So in the genetics, it's very important as you're the child, you always imagine you're standing in front of mom and dad. So you're standing in front of mom and dad. Then if you have a twin, a younger or older, the older would be on the right, younger would be on the left. But if there's a twin in the system, if there's a vanishing twin, it means that you're in the twin system. So you'd have to come out of the older place to be the younger one or the middle child. So back to being the child of the parent. So you're standing in front of mom on the left-hand side, dad, biological, dad on the right-hand side, and you're the child. Then the left side is for the younger siblings and the right side is for the older siblings. Now, when I'm holding space, I'm always opening up my consciousness. So I'm opening my consciousness now that I may have siblings I'm not aware of, because that happens a lot. So I set the intention that if I always leave the space open, that if there's more children I'm not aware of, that they come into the system. Even if it's with other parents, other moms or dads. And then I may have children I'm not aware of, and the children of my children are always in front of me and connected to the biological mom or dad. Just keeping that intention. And as this is happening, I'm keeping the same intention for all my ancestors, that every father is honored as the father, every mother is honored as the mother, every child is honored of the child of his or her parents, biological parents, and also honoring the siblings in the correct biological place, blueprint, and honoring any missing children. This is not family constellation work. It's a different type of work. This is genetics. This is about the DNA, the energetic fields of us. When you work with the energetic fields, the patterns, it's almost the ego patterns dissolve. So the stories dissolve. So just loud space. So once the system's set up, there's a river of information flowing through you to your children and flowing back from your children to you and back to the ancestors permanently, not just during the session, permanently. That's why I love genetics. Genetics is very, very simple and it's very logical. It's simply, and it's very easy for people to understand. So once you tell someone what genetic work is about, as I said about if you're taking care of your mom, that you don't be the mom of your child, because that's going to block your mom's system. That's going to block your own energy. That's going to block your siblings' energy because you just took the mom's place. So it's very important to be aware. Now, if you do notice that you're in the wrong place, it's very important, if the people are alive, that you would say, as I'm, in my case, as I'm the son of my mom, I'd say, well, mom, I'm your son. As I'm the son of my dad, I'd say, Dad, I'm your son, or Dad, you're my dad. As my older brother is my older brother, I say, as I'm your younger brother, as I'm the older brother connected to my sister. So if you bring that information, it gives a transmission as well. So it cleans energetically, but when you say it to the person, just with a word, who you are to them, the whole transmission goes to them and cleans the system. Beautiful. These are getting this really smooth and fast. So this is the genetics. And it flows very beautifully. Now, as it flows, because you're in the genetic place now, You have full access to every life system and your Akashic records, and you have access to all your star life. So all your being's information now is in you. If you really want to have no limitations, I set the intention there's no limitations in this session. I set the intention that this could be like 1,000 sessions in one. It's up to the person's system. I will not limit the session. So I will always leave the system open to the highest potential for the person or the group I'm supporting. And I do not limit it ever. If there's somebody in the group who wants to change their entire life in 5 minutes, they can do it. So there's no limitations. Also, I set the intention that it's on a need to know basis. I will know information. So I will set the intention. It's almost like sometimes people need to know, they want to know information. I noticed that it's like going into a beehive with all the different compartments in the hive and saying, oh, I need to know this. And you're going into one little pod, okay? And you're getting out that information. They want to know more information, more information, more information, more information. Okay, you will get that information. There'll be a transformation on that field. I like to work with the entire hive at once. And if one of the pods of information wants to open up, it will open up in the session. I don't want to put a cap on the session. I want to keep it as open to the highest potential as possible. And I trust that if I need to know, if the person needs to know, they will know in that session. But I won't limit the work. It's almost like closing the door on your channel. I believe we can have a complete life change in every session, in every moment. In 5 moments, in 5 minutes, we can have a complete session transformation. In 1 second, we can have a complete transformation. So I never limit the work. If I'm supporting anyone with any health conditions or anything in their lives, I always will leave it up to the soul that there's no limitations to what they can handle and what they can transform. So I believe in miracles. I believe that it's up to the soul, and I'm totally open to them completely changing their health, changing their lives to the highest potential of that soul. That is not my business. That is none of my business. That is their business, not mine. I'm simply the channel. I'm simply holding space for them. And their soul will almost like connect on a very high level and give me the information of guiding them, how to support them. Okay, when you're holding space for somebody, it's to create this field, okay, the positive, negative, all right? So when I'm holding space for someone, I will hold space. So I have the field open now in a way that's holding a safe field for you. And this stays open. My job is to keep that space solid, secure, like a safe room around that person or the group for the whole session that I've agreed to hold space. And everything that's needed to come in for their higher purpose, the highest purpose of this session, will happen within that time. Everything. So you don't need to go on for 2 hours, 3 hours. If it's meant to be in the hour and you put it in an hour, you put it in 20 minutes, it will happen in 20 minutes. Put the intention of how much time you want to hold space for. It's creating also, like when I work, I set the intention to connect to creation. The creation is the same information as a stem cell. The stem cell, when I bring the stem cell information in, it always brings me a start point of creation, and it always brings a completion in. Now, often in workshops or in sessions, the systems of the person is opening, and maybe I have 5 minutes left because I have another session or something, or I have to go. And I'm saying, how on earth am I meant to close all these systems within 5 minutes? That will close perfectly and it will complete within those 5 minutes. The system, when you put the intention in, will close the system in whatever time and space you've agreed to, or you've opened up for. Everything, there's no such thing as time and space in a way that everything can happen in a moment. So if you're holding space for somebody, I would definitely fix a time, how much time your sessions take, and that gives the information to the intelligence in the field, which is supporting the session, to complete everything within that hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable or drawn to. When you're holding space for someone else, what happens is you're in your being, and then they're dropping into their being, and you're giving transmissions to them, as I'm giving you transmissions now. Okay? Now, by dropping into state and we connect. So when you're holding space in the beginning of the session, it'd be important that you really in your heart space, you're in your channel, and you guide the person you're with into his or her channel, and you sit with them and you give space. And when you hold space, when you open that space up, the information comes up. So it will guide you, or the person will guide you with a word or two. As I said before, you may get information coming through you which you don't understand. You may get a word. I've often had a word come in and say, oh my God, what does that mean? That sounds crazy. But when I say that word to the other person, that completes the jigsaw puzzle for the other person. So if you're getting a word, it's none of your business. It's for the other person. You deliver the message. Okay? Don't polish it up. Deliver it as it comes through, because that's what the spirit is looking for. That's a jigsaw. You're simply, for example, when I go into business to hold space, I don't have to know. I've worked in incredible businesses, really complicated businesses, world businesses, and I don't have to know how that business runs. I simply hold space for the business, just like I do for a session. And then the system will bring the key up in the session for the business or the person. So that key is none of my business, but that key to the owner who knows their business perfectly is the key they're missing for the engine of that business, and will transform their business completely and take them to the next level. I will not know what the key is for, but they know what the key is for, because that's activating a new system for them. You will bring them to another level. You will bring a person to another level. So we're delivering keys. In the next part, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing with you transmissions, because when I'm holding space for you, I'm in this field that I'm giving transmission. So when you're holding space for somebody, you're sharing, I'll say it in a different way. You are unique. No one in the universe has the same experience as you. No one. No one has experienced past lives like you. No one's experienced star lives like you. No one's experienced a birth like you've experienced your birth. Nobody's experienced this life like you've experienced this life, like you. There's no one like you in the whole universe. So every experience you've had in every lifetime and this lifetime that you've resolved, that is your keys. That is the gifts you have for transformation. So as hard and as difficult your life has been, and if you've transformed not being the victim of it, not feeling guilty, and if you're the perpetrator, not working through that, if you've worked through your topics, if you've worked through an emotion, if you worked through a betrayal from your father, from your mother, from a sibling, if you worked through an illness, you have those keys in your system. They are your gifts because you've transformed them. You've ignited the spark of creation in whatever systems you've been transforming in your life, in your daily life. So everything that happens in our day is a gift for transformation. And then when you transform it, you can pass that gift on to others. That's how the universe works. The universe always gives us gifts, but those gifts are to pass on to others. So everything you've transformed in your life, you have the frequency of transformation in you. You're the right person. If a person's sitting in front of you, you are the right person. You have gifts in you which that person came from for. I remember when I first started this work, and I remember I was working with Esther Norman, and she asked me, what do you do in your work? And I said, just put my picture out. They'll feel it. And she said, give me more details. And I didn't know how to describe the work I did. I didn't know how to even name it. I still don't. I feel like if I name it, I limit it. So I said to her, I said, just let people see my picture and they'll feel it. The right ones will come. And because I knew on a soul level that people are feeling what's in my system. So when you go for a session with somebody, or you go to a teacher, or you feel drawn to a seminar, you feel drawn not for the personality or even the mindsets that they're sharing with you, but you feel drawn to me right now at the moment because you can feel what's in my system information. You can feel my system information from all my lifetimes, what I've worked through, from this lifetime, what I've worked through. And that's why you're here. And that's what I can share with you. Because if I've transformed it and you go into a state of being, of holding space, if we hold space together, you will have those keys in your system, not in my way, in your unique way. So your channel will grow, your system will grow more, will grow fuller, richer, more alive. So in a way, when you're holding space for others, you are transforming their systems, you're activating their systems with your frequencies, and then your tool set. So you may have done seminars or have different tools. Now those tools will activate. I remember I used to have a gong. Well, I still have it actually, and crystal bowls. And I used to work with the gong and crystal bowls. And then a friend said to me, says, oh, take it all out of the room. And I was giving sessions with a gong, crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls. And I was like, well, I had a lot of regular people coming to me. And I was like, what am I going to do? And she's just take everything out. So I spent that weekend. I painted the room. I took everything out. And the people arrived. There was no gong there. And there was no crystal bowls. And no crystals. And there was me. It was interesting. Nobody mentioned where was the gong. This gong is huge, by the way. And nobody mentioned where's the gong, where's the crystal bowls, because it was me. I was the channel. I was the connection. That's what they came for. They didn't come for the bowls. They came because of what was in my system information. It doesn't mean I couldn't use the bowls. It doesn't mean I didn't use the gong again. I did use the gong again when I felt it. I did use the crystal bowls again when I felt it. So the crystal bowls or the gong was an extension of me, but it wasn't me. I say that in a different way. The crystal bowls and the gong were tools. They were spirits in themselves. But the channel, the reason the person came was because of me. That is not about ego. That is just the truth. Now, if I feel that they came for the gong, I've weakened my system because now I gave the channel to the gong. Okay. So whatever you're using, if you're using crystal bowls, if you're using crystals, if you're using anything, pendulum, for example, I would recommend you to stop for a moment and do a session without them and get to feel what it feels like to have nothing in the room, only you. That will be the biggest gift to you and to them, because that's when you're really potent in your system. And then you can bring in your cards, your crystal balls, or whatever you want. And then it's an extension of you. It's a tool. Okay? You don't need anything. You are the channel. You are the gift. You are the reason the person came to you. You are the reason the group came to you. You don't need the tools. I remember when I was teaching different techniques, at the end, I've even done techniques where we'd teach them for a few days and then I'd say, okay, let it go, forget it, move on. Now, every technique that came true, I'm not saying they weren't good, they were all worked perfectly. But I'd always say, let them go. And I would even stop doing them myself. And a lot of them I don't even remember what they were. So the reason was because it's in my system information. I didn't need them anymore. I worked the systems till they were in my system. Even crystals, I would hold crystals and then the crystals in my system, and then I'd give the crystal away because I am the crystal. I am the gong. I am the crystal bowl. I am the channel in the system. I am creation. There's a lot of programming in us, okay? Be aware of this. So we have been programmed for generations to believe that if I want to see something, I have to see outside. I have to look outside. If I want to hear something, I need to hear it from the outside. If I want to feel something or know something, I feel it from the outside. That is not how it works. Okay. When you're in your channel, or if you want to go into super consciousness, I call it, that's creation on the highest level. So where you can connect to all the universal information and codes, it's on the inside. If I want to see, it's on the inside. If I want to feel and know, it's inside me. If I want to hear, it's inside me. If I want to feel, it's inside. If I want to hear, it's inside. If I want to see, it's inside. The knowledge is inside me. Now you've dropped into the channel, your own channel, your being as a creator. The universe is in every cell. Beautiful, it's working. Now the energy is flowing, very flowing. I'm getting like, my nose gets itchy actually because the energy flows from my third eye down sometimes, or I get a twitch here. So some people, when they're working with energy, you even hear them like belching or, during the session. It's because the digestion is releasing what they've resolved. The digestion is very intelligent. We're amazing beings. Our bodies are incredible. I love how the system works. So when the digestion, we absorb emotions into our digestion as we're growing up. And what we cannot accept, what we cannot digest, it creates modules of energy in our digestion or in our body. And then when our spirit gets the information, opens it, resolves it, then the energy leaves. So you'll often hear people belching or, this is when they start detoxing. This is when you start releasing. Taking a deep breath in. Okay, I know I'm giving a lot of information, but this is recorded and you can watch the recordings a few times and you're going to get a lot of information, a lot of transmissions from this, okay? Let's just breathe in, because I say the knowledge is in you. Everything, the wisdom's in you. Let's go inside for a few moments. And I'm going to start giving you transmissions. It's almost like an upgrade in your system. So I'm just going to start sending you transmissions now for holding space. Breathing into your channel. And I invite you to breathe into your cells. Now, we're all very controlling, okay? Especially anyone with a vanishing twin. So we're all very controlling. What opens your system? The ah breath, okay? So you will feel it. I invite you to take a deep breath in. Ah. Another deep breath. Ah. And the systems, everything's going into alignment. Nothing to do. Nothing to do. Now I'm just feeling the energy and the systems flowing. It's almost like the magnets are in line now. I can feel it straight away. So your channel is magnetized now and it's open. And the energy is running through you, all the way through your core. Breathing into your spine, breathing into your cells. Now, sometimes it's only now in the last years I'm starting to realize probably about, I was going to say 1% of the work, what is happening in sessions. So the genetic work helped me a lot with what is happening in sessions. Also, the first teaching I gave a few weeks ago on systems. If you didn't do that, I would recommend that because that helps me a lot. So the system work that I did there a few weeks about this implosion state and the wounds that's in somebody, okay? So when you're holding space, you may notice when you're in your being, so when you just go inside, that that person you're working with is resolving wounds from their childhood or their past lives. And they're going in this implosion state. So you'll sense that they're getting more energy through their system. Maybe your eyes become hazy or the room gets hazy. That usually means that there's energy from abuse in the system. So abuse energy usually opens up and you feel this like fog in the room or denser energy in the room. So that's where you go in this implosion state, like what I did in the first teachings of how systems work. So the first module supports holding space. So the work you did on yourself in the first module about systems, that works now because that's like the gong, that's like the tool. If it's meant to come in, it will come in when you're holding space. So when you're in your own system and you're supporting somebody, you may feel the wounds being resolved just like we did in the first teachings of the system work. So you're in this implosion state and you're holding space for the person and it's working in the person by simply you setting the intention or being guided by your creator, by you, to go in an implosion state. And this now we're going into clearing trauma from the system, from the childhood. And now we're going into the implosion work, which we did in module 1. And we're doing this time by holding space for somebody else. So I invite you to maybe practice this with somebody. It's usually easier to do it not with a family member, just with somebody else. And I invite you to really be daring and to hold space for somebody else. And it's amazing. Your doubts may come in the beginning, and then suddenly your being takes over. What I wanted to say earlier is that it was okay in the beginning. I didn't even know what a chakra was at that stage. I didn't know anything about this work. I knew nothing about this work, but my being knew. So when I went to this state of holding space, the information came in. And the blueprint of creation. Oh, it was the blueprint of creation. Yes, thank you. Seminar, the teaching one. And when I'm holding space, it accesses my soul information. So a lot of the time, my soul, for example, when I first start doing this work or doing workshops, I would be very silent and I would have no information to tell the group after because I didn't know what happened. I didn't have the information. I had no idea. I didn't know how to put words to this energy or these systems or the work because I didn't have that conscious information. It still worked. I, Damien, on a personality level, did not know what was going on in the work. On the being level of me, I did, but I couldn't put it into words because I didn't have the system knowledge at that time. Now that I know more about systems, I can share more in the sessions. I'm more conscious about what is happening in the sessions, how past life systems work, how this life system works, how ancestral systems work, how genetic systems work. That means that, excuse me, that I can access this easier and be more conscious about it. Now, if I'm not conscious of it, it doesn't mean it's still not happening. It will happen on an unconscious way in your system when you hold space. When you become more conscious, it will even get more potent. You can direct it in a way with intention, or you'll be guided. You're being guided, actually. I always open up a blank space. It's interesting. If I'm working with someone that I've worked with before, okay, I take notes. I always take notes during the session because Keith may have to share later, or it's good to ground it, or maybe keys may come in that maybe for me that I have to look in myself as well. So I'm always taking notes. But when I start a session again with somebody, I don't go back to those notes. There's a reason for that. Some people say, oh, that's very unprofessional. I like to see somebody as a blank slate every time. I like to see somebody that to where they are in this moment. So which many times has happened to me in the past with workshops, is that I would work on a topic and then you'd meet me on the lunch break and say, okay, what was, tell me about that topic. And I have no idea what I've worked with because it's so out of my system, because we've resolved it so much that we're now present and it's gone. So I like to meet people each time as brand new systems. They may have completely changed their system information and they're new people. So that's the way I open a session. Even if I've worked with them many times, I always see them and read them in the now. I don't use notes for that. But it's interesting. The system will show me the difference. Just energetically, I will feel the shift. I will feel the changes. So that's how I do the sessions. That's partially how I do the sessions. How are we doing on time? Well, it's actually 9. So that's a good question. Can you go in the negative pole while you're doing a session? No, I wouldn't recommend it. By you being holding space, this is your job. Okay, this is your job, to hold space. That's what you signed up for. That's what you agreed on. If there's topics that comes up during the session, which often comes up, it does work on you a little bit. But what I do is I'll take a note, say, oh, I feel I have similar topic there, and I'll work on it later myself, or I'll get somebody to support me. So that way I'm keeping 100% focus on the person. When I hold space, I am 100% in that room with that person and holding that space for the person. It's almost like everything else disappears out of my life and I'm with the person 100%. If something happens outside that you need to leave the room, if there's an emergency, or if you get a phone call that you shouldn't get phone calls, but if something happens that you need to leave that room, okay, this is like an operations room. When you hold space, it's like a surgery room, okay? And that surgery room has been open for 60 minutes. Now, if someone comes banging to the door and you must take that person at the door, you can still hold space while you're going to answer the door, and the person will feel it. So I want you to know that if there's an emergency that you have to leave that session suddenly for a few moments, you are still with that person. Keep the intention. You are holding space for that person, and the field will still hold them. They will feel it. Some people, I've gone to people in the past who are holding space for me, and they get a phone call or a text, somebody calls the door and they drop me in the middle of the session. And I feel completely exposed. I feel like I'm open and I've just been dropped, and I don't feel good about that. So I invite you that if you're signing up to support somebody or a group, it's your job to hold space for those 60 minutes or whatever time you've agreed. And if there's any interference, even if which happens to me in Mykonos, the power goes down, the internet goes down, I'm still holding space. That does not affect the session. You may not see me, you may not hear me, you will feel me. I'm still there with you, and that's what I agreed on. So we're not connecting through the internet. We're connecting as spirit. Okay. Space. Do we need to? Yeah, beautiful. So that's the first part. So we'll take a break, and it's almost like let it go from the mind, and just it'll run with you, this information, and the codes are in you, and you have the recording, and you're going to watch it again, and you're going to take notes. And there's transmissions. When I work, there's transmissions. You have the transmissions, and they will go deeper and deeper into your system each time you watch this. So I'll see you in an hour. Okay. Thank you.